Welcome to Paradelphia Radio. This is Rick Pruitt once again from the confines of our quarantine, and I am here with a crew of our peers. If I can have them pulled up on screen here, we have, there they are, Toxic Mike in the Toxic Studios. We have Dougie Hogate Jr. and Jenna B down there in the Salem County area. Ish.
I'm baking.
Jen is baking as she's doing the show.
Multitasker.
As long as you send us some of what you're baking, that's fine.
Wait, does that have weed in it?
Jeez.
Are you making weed brownies? Is that what you're doing in quarantine? You're gonna take
one of those recipes. Yeah.
You know, I don't want anything from her because she's actually one of those people that are there to when people get tested for the corona, because I know I just had to be tested last week, and there she was standing right there. So I don't know if I want to be close to her.
How'd that turn out for you there, Doug?
Oh, I came up negative. It was mainly a work thing, but I did show a few symptoms, but not enough to where I thought I actually had it. So
I figured we'd have heard more if you tested positive, so I thought it was a good thing.
No, I would have made T-shirts and everything. Doug is
No, he tested positive for the Zackley disease, where his breath smells exactly like his butt.
What the hell was...
She's been waiting all week to say that. She's been literally waiting all week to say that.
Exactly.
The
only thing I've got to say, what freaked me out a little bit, was they had these documents come out the day before I found out. And sure enough, on one of the papers, it said a male in his 30s from Salem tested positive. Well, I live in Elsinboro, but I didn't know how specific it was, and I thought I had it, and they told everyone else before me, but luckily that wasn't the case.
Always the last to know.
Exactly. You know, well.
All right, so tonight, I promoted this earlier with my little Facebook post. We're going to be doing a show about the Jersey Devil. Mm-hmm. And we've done this before. We've done this topic before, but not quite this way. Mm-hmm. Because there's a story that's out there that is not really well known. It's not really a paranormal story for the most part. It's actually of all things, a political story, if you can believe that.
What?
That has to do with the Jersey Devil.
And
so we're going to get in. Yeah, we're going to get into that tonight, and we'll touch on some of the strange, like we always do. We always manage to work that in, but the story itself is not really a paranormal story. So it's interesting though, and it's much more plausible, I suppose, if you were of the skeptic mindset, than a flying winged bat dragon creature flying around the Pine Barrens.
Right.
If you ask me anything Jersey Devil, it's always been a interesting topic ever since I was younger. I used to in fact, years ago, Kelly Roncase and I did a little segment. Well, she wrote about it back when she was doing Paranormal Corner in the South Jersey Times. And then there was South Jersey News did a segment, and I think the last time I heard, less than a year ago, she still got contacted from people who wanted to know all about this picture this guy supposedly taken, I forget what town, somewhere up in Camden County, but
right.
But it's amazing. I mean, it's been sightings since forever, always, from everywhere.
Yeah. So this is a bit of a weird twist on the story, but it's definitely interesting.
Oh yeah,
definitely interesting. So before we get into all that, you guys have any news for the week? You've been in quarantine like everybody else. How's that going for everybody?
Well, I'll tell you what I've done. Last week, I went to the Blue Hole.
Whoa!
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Really?
I dated that girl back in high school, by the way.
That's nasty. I went to the Blue Hole, and it was really cool. What's interesting is that apparently there's several blue holes in New Jersey.
There are.
Actually,
I've dated 3 of them.
Oh.
I bet you did.
Brought it back around.
I bet you did.
Mike's got 3 of them in his recent phone call list.
Blue Hole 1. Blue Hole.
And then I got this cute thing.
Oh,
I got this cute thing.
The little bug
mugwai.
A mugwai.
What?
Don't feed it after midnight.
A mugwai.
What's that?
Oh, Jesus. Rick.
I just can't.
Cut her off now. Should we
I-
just cut her off now?
Literally, no. I feel like
You've never seen the movie Gremlins.
Keep people in the chat room. Please let her know what why is. Please.
You've never seen the movie Gremlins.
No.
Actually,
How is
here's
that
a
possible?
funny. You want to know a funny story about my Jenna and I's dad? He actually took when him and our mom dated. He actually took her to see the Gremlins in the movie theater. True story. They had to leave in the middle of the movie because my dad did not like seeing the Gremlins getting hurt.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's and I always thought that was a story that my mom always told, but my dad even backed it up. He didn't like how they were hurting the Gremlins, so they actually
He was not a fan of. He was not a fan of Stripe
movies because he he didn't like seeing the Gremlins being hurt. So
he was not a fan of Stripe.
no, not at all.
I don't know what that is either.
I know you don't. I know. We'll send you a link. Somebody send Jen a link for God's sake.
Yeah, go to Amazon Prime or something or Netflix.
Go anywhere, literally anywhere in the world.
No,
you'd be able to find a link.
This is what people need to do. Go to Jenna's page and just flood her timeline on Facebook. Guys and Gremlins.
Yeah, nothing but
gremlin
emojis.
Do it on my Instagram at the real Jenna B.
Go to can you flood flood somebody's timeline on Instagram? I don't think you can do that, can you?
Yeah, on the story, I'll post a questions right now. They can talk to me all they want.
Do people even use Instagram? Isn't it Snapgram now? Or
I know nothing about Instagram.
Or FaceSnap or FaceGram.
Instagram is lit right now.
Oh, I think I have.
What do you use? 12
some notifications on mine.
You know how many people come into the studio? They're like, "What's your IG?" I'm like, "What? What's your IG?" Oh, Instagram. Yeah.
I would think that's what's your gang color or something. Somebody says what's your IG. Like, I'm yellow, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gremlins went into gang colors to that just went way out of whack.
I mean, everybody's wearing gang colors right now. I mean, bandanas around their mouth and their face all the time.
Every time I go into a store, it's bizarre. Like, you got to put the freaking thing on, and I feel like I'm I'm not here to rob you. I'm just here to pick up my shit.
Right. That's like me. I mean, I'm still working even through this and wearing that thing constantly. Something on your face. I mean, I wear a bandana. But it doesn't matter because I've tried the bandana. I tried the face covering. You just can't breathe with the damn thing on. Like, it's nuts. This whole crap. But see, what I've always said is this coronavirus is not going to go anywhere. You know what I mean? So it's like, how long is it going to be? I mean, obviously they come up with an antidote if they haven't already. I don't even know.
A vaccine?
Yeah, anything, whatever. But it's not like it's just going to go away. So it's like, how long are we?
It's not snake venom, Doug. We don't need an antidote.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Food is not going to go away for a while. We'll have to deal with this. It'll lighten up a little bit over the summertime.
Right.
Back to being BS in the winter. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
Look, as long as I can get to my summer concerts, I'll be good.
They're already talking about there's going to be lines to get into the mall and how movie theaters are going to, if movie theaters do open up, it's like 2 seats between every person and stuff like that.
Well, that's why the drive-ins are now promoting like, hey, we're still here.
Not only drive-ins, but right now with movies, I'm down with the drive-ins. I'm all in on drive-ins.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, I mean, Universal is banned from AMC. AMC Theaters has banned any Universal movie because Universal released the Trolls movie on demand instead of in theaters because no theaters are open.
Right.
They made more money in, I think, like 3 weeks than they did in 5 months on the last Trolls movie.
I did not know that.
They said going forward, they are going to be releasing simultaneously digital and in theaters. And AMC was like, nope. They're like, if you do that, if that's what your game plan is going to be, we are cutting you off from all AMC theaters.
That's technology nowadays, though. That's just the way things are.
Right, but that's I agree with you, but that's AMC and all movie theaters grasping onto it because if that happens, movie theaters will go the way of Blockbuster and everybody else.
Right.
Because if everybody can have their movies on demand, and I've already done it. I've paid $20. I paid $20 to watch Suicide Girls because it was it wasn't in theaters, it's in my home. I'll pay $20 to watch it right away. And they know, the movie theaters know that given the option, a lot of people, not everybody, people still like the movie theater experience, but a lot of people have decent sized TVs now, decent surround sound systems that are not that expensive, and they're going to watch their movies at home. And I think it builds for a better experience, and especially with horror movies, when you're at home curled up and the lights are off, I think it's a better experience to be home for a horror movie than
I disagree. I disagree.
I disagree too. Yeah.
You got to be out in public. You got to be in that uncomfortable space, the place you don't know, and then you got to make your way home.
But a place you don't know with so many other people. When you're in your house, when it's just you, or you and a loved one, or you and your kid, I think that builds a way more scary environment than a theater with a bunch of people.
One of my most visceral memories from a movie when I was younger, my buddies and I went to see Pet Sematary.
Okay,
the original Pet Sematary. And that scene where her sister up in the attic comes crawling like that withered body. I'm going to rip your spine or twist your spine. Whatever. Dude, we were driving home that night. My buddies and I, we're all like 20 whatever years old dudes. And we're looking in the back of my freaking car. Like we were freaked the fuck out about this thing.
Just like
so
that.
There's that element of it. Like it's a communal thing too.
Sure.
It's not just about being in your home.
I love it when people are like, man, why are you going down there? Like in the background.
Oh no. Once I get into a movie theater, I start scoping everything and everyone out. I'm checking to see who's going to ruin my experience, who's going to make me who's going to piss me off.
You'll know that by the previews.
The second I hear a kid peep a fucking sound or cry, right away, I'm like, this movie's shot. I'm done.
You're so lame.
I'm like, this is going to be done. I hate that scene. So a lot of people do that scene.
You know, talking about horror movies, you know, you get these romance movies, a lot more, another baby boom, except it's now where people are watching romance movies at home, figured, hey, let's do it while watching this movie.
I mean, some people do that in the theaters, too.
True, some people do that in the movie theater.
Drive-ins. Okay. That's why you bring back drive-ins.
That is true.
Rick has done it in the movie theater. But no, don't tell me you haven't. I like the experience. I like to be able to pause it and go to the bathroom. I like, you know, there's certain aspects, again, certain movies, but I have the VR. So if I want the movie theater experience.
Right, but you have that option. I'm talking about that option.
Right, not everybody has the option. So I have the experience of being in a giant place and I could choose to be with other people. So I kind of can get that. And I know that not everybody has that though. So, and I just watched Jumanji this past weekend in the movie theater in VR. It was a great freaking experience.
Mike, face it, you make up digital friends.
Not wrong. And
That's
I'm okay with
imaginary friend when you can make a computerized version, put it in your VR, and you're like,
"You're my friend.
You're my friend."
You know, the
Mike.
person just walks away, and I'm like, "Oh,
I'm Mike Lena. I'm Mike Lena." Yeah, you know,
you're my new girlfriend.
Wow. All right. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break here? And when we come back on the flip side, we can get into our topic of the evening because there's a lot to go over here about the Jersey Devil and the story that I was referencing earlier in the show about how the story may or may not be exactly what you remember from the legend that you may have heard as a kid.
All right.
So we'll be back in a few.
All right.
Okay, we all know shit's getting pretty weird recently.
Real wrath of God type stuff. Check. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes, the dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Well, maybe not all that bad. But people are stuck at home, we're disinfecting everything in sight, and there's no damn toilet paper.
None of this makes sense.
But here's one thing you can count on. Toxic Radio will be here, rocking on with great music and as many of your favorite shows as possible, like the Heavy Metal Happy Hour and Supreme's Funky Contradiction. And of course, nothing can stop the Hair Metal Weekends. So keep it right here with Toxic Radio, and we'll see you through to the other side of this mess. In the meantime, this is the whole crew at Toxic Radio saying, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep rocking. This is one time it's okay to play it safe, but never with your music. Always play your music toxic.
Enjoying all that Toxic Radio has to offer? Well, make sure you like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be the first to find out about ticket giveaways, amazing guests, awesome contests, and Toxic Radio events. Just search Toxic Radio Live, all one word, and press that little button. Every time you do, someone here at Toxic Radio will get their wings. Yay! Well, not really. Aww. But we will get a warm, fuzzy feeling in our tummies. But then again, that just might be the beer. Anyway, like and follow us, and we will see you out there on the interwebs.
Hey, rockers, it's time to start thinking about the upcoming summer concert season. Are your teeth white and your skin tanned? Probably not. Head over to Nail and Skin Envy on Facebook and send a message to Anne Marie. You can look picture perfect and save $5 when you buy the whitening paste and sunless tanner. That's Nail and Skin Envy on Facebook to get your summer glisten and glow on.
Planning your Saturday night can be a bit of a bitch. How about we make rock, not war? Load up Toxic Radio every Saturday night for the heavy metal happy hour with the one and only Fishman.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
There will be interviews, ticket giveaways, a little bit of banter with Toxic Mike, and of course great metal from the 80s all the way through today. Starts at 7 p.m., runs until Fish says it's over.
Get out.
Catch it only on Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic. Hey, buddy. Raw. Hey, man, that's a sweet heavy metal happy hour t-shirt. Where'd you pick that up?
Thanks, dude. I got it at the Toxic Radio shop.
Toxic Radio has a shop?
Yeah, dude. It's in the app or online at toxicradio.net.
That is sweet.
Yeah, and I also got a rockin' Toxic Radio hoodie and a Red Band Underground shirt. Dude, I'm gonna look so rockin' at the party tomorrow.
Well, I think you look pretty now.
Oh, thank you. Wait, what?
The Toxic Radio shop is a place to get all your Toxic Radio gear. Shirts, hoodies, stickers. Find it at toxicradio.net or on the app. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Hey, where you going, man? Some radio stations say they play everything that rocks.
Coming out to the light of day, we got many moons that are deep that place so
We play everything that really rocks. Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic.
All right, we're back here on Paradelphia on Toxic Radio. And we're going to get into our topic of the evening here, the story of the Jersey Devil. But again, maybe not the story you've heard. So the way I want to start this, let's go over the story that is typically out there, because that is the cliche. That is the story that in a nutshell is and has been told over campfires in this area for literally hundreds of years. Right. All right. Basically, the basic story is in the year 1735, there was a woman named Jane Leeds who also went by the name of Mother Leeds down in Atlantic County, living in a house on what became Leeds Point. She had 12 kids, and 13th child was on the way. She was in labor. Got pissed off at the child, at the fact that she was in labor, was not happy about some aspect of what was going on, and decided 12, to curse her child. Come on. Yeah, decided to curse her child.
Curse her child.
The child came out normal, but in the span of a few minutes, developed the head of a goat, bat wings, a forked tail, talons, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, basically the Jersey Devil, as you have come to know him.
What is it supposed to really look like?
It looks like Crocs. It looks like it's wearing Crocs. Just saying.
That is 100% true. It looks like it's wearing Crocs.
it's time travel, But anyway,
Jersey
sorry.
Devil was the first to wear Crocs. Hey.
That is hilarious. What is that?
I think that's supposed to be the hooves, but yeah.
Who says the devil can't be in comfort?
That is
true. He's been around for 300 years. The feet get tired.
Hey.
Wow.
So again, he came into existence, flew out of the chimney of the house, and has been terrorizing the area ever since. So this is the story, generally in a nutshell, that has been told about the Jersey Devil for years and years. But there's another way to look at this, and again, it's not a supernatural angle; it's more of a religious / political angle. Okay. So the way you have to kind of look at this is take a step back and look at the Leeds family to begin with. All right. So the Leeds family, first off, the woman who was Mother Leeds, there is a historical counterpart to that, but she was not named Jane. She was actually named Deborah Leeds.
My mother's name. I knew it.
Deborah Leeds.
Is Mike the Jersey Devil?
Who lived in Atlantic County. Her husband was named Japhet, and they did have 12 children. So there are parallels there.
Wow, right? Her vagina must hurt.
Jenna B pipes in. Yeah.
She's just there with a bag of ice on it 24/7. Yes.
So the idea behind this aspect of the legend is that this family existed, but the gist of where the devil part comes from came more from the family becoming very ostracized in the community. The reason for that was manyfold. All right. A couple of aspects here with this family. First off, they were originally a Quaker family. All right. They were involved in the Quaker movement, which was huge at this time. The Quakers were basically, imagine the Amish, only more so. Right. Like they were ultra conservative.
They don't believe in like guns. They don't believe. Well, they didn't have guns back then.
Nothing. Literally nothing.
Yeah, right. No violence. No. I actually considered, true story, I considered being a Quaker.
You were a Quaker?
No, I considered.
Like a pen Quaker?
But I will say, and nothing against Quakers out there. I don't mean this in any defense, but if you look in history at like Quakers, though, like they don't believe in the violence and everything like that. But like there are so many stories of violence between Quakers. And I mean, like if you look at a lot of trials, like, Salem County, Salem City, full of Quakers. And in history, when you look at a lot of people that went on trial for murders or just being in fights, they were all between each other. Like, so it's amazing to know they don't believe in anything, and violence being one of them. But they were some of the violent people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he, and we'll get into how he did this in a few minutes, but he managed to piss off the Quaker community to the point where they basically kicked him out. They ostracized him. Mm-hmm. All right. So that was one aspect of things. All right. Daniel Leeds was living from 1651 to 1720. He was the main, I guess the first Leeds man that was involved in this story.
Okay.
He basically he was a what they called a royal surveyor for the crown. So if you think about this, late 1600s, early 1700s, think about this area specifically and think about what was happening and what was boiling up. Eventually, it would lead to the American Revolution. You had a lot of anti-British sentiment. Mm-hmm. People were getting pissed off at the taxes that were being levied, the no representation, all the rules that were being hammered down on the colonies by the British.
Right.
So anybody who was seen as a British loyalist was slowly going to become more and more ostracized as time went on, because the sentiment was growing towards independence that eventually, manifested in the revolution. But even in the early 1700s, you had this aspect of life happening. Right. So with him being, number one, loyal to the British crown. Number two, he literally had a job working for the king in the colonies as a surveyor. He was seen as someone who was not to be trusted because, again, this whole sentiment of independence was boiling under the surface at this point. Yeah. So now you have him pissing off the Quakers and being thrown out of that community. You have him being ostracized as a loyalist to the crown in the general community outside of the Quaker community. All right. In addition to that, his family printed an almanac. All right. It was a family almanac that he printed and published. This almanac, he tended to print a lot of things that normally would not be printed in a conservative almanac. Things like astrology, things like demonology information, magic and herb remedies. All right. So when the Quakers saw that even more so pissed them off, because that was blasphemous to them.
Yeah, that was
not
like
only
icing on the cake.
yeah, like not only was he kind of going against them in other ways, he was now literally publishing this information that they considered blasphemous.
Right.
So he was now completely ostracized from the Quaker community. He was becoming ostracized from the community at large because he was a loyalist to the crown. All right. If you think about the timing of this, who else at the same time was printing what became probably the most famous almanac in American history?
The farmers.
Mr. Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin, yep.
Poor Richard's Almanac.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Franklin was printing Poor Richard's Almanac at the same time.
Right, yep.
So, with that being the case, they were in competition with the Leeds Family Almanac for publication eyeballs, basically, in the area for readers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, Ben Franklin was, as anybody who knows history knows, was kind of a witty guy. Very smart guy, very quick on the uptake, very quick on the comeback.
He did everything, and he did everything too. So it's like...
So he did not like the competition. So basically, he started a PR war, so to speak, with the Leeds family. All right, and one of the aspects of that was that he knew that Leeds was publishing this esoteric information and this astronomical information that was pissing people off. So in Poor Richard's Almanac, Ben Franklin used an astrology chart and predicted that Daniel Leeds, who was the publisher of the Leeds Almanac, would die within the next few months.
Oh, nice.
Dang.
So clearly Daniel Leeds did not like this.
Oh, of course
and he responded in the next almanac to Ben Franklin, calling him a fool, a liar, so forth and so on.
This is like a rap battle of like
Renaissance times. So Ben being Ben, he said he wasn't going to have that. So he responded by saying, no, what I predicted was true. He actually died. That posting, calling me a liar, that was a ghost that was posting that.
Get out.
And he went on to continue to reference Daniel Leeds and then his son as ghosts in going on for years. Like literally his Daniel and his son, who died, I think it was in 1738. He took over the publication and the family business. Ben Franklin continued to hammer that narrative so that people actually started to think that, well, maybe there's something weird going on with this family. Like they're already ostracized in various ways. Right. And now there's some kind of weird thing being said about them. Like, are they a supernatural family? Are they? So now you can kind of see where the roots of the Jersey Devil story are starting to grow a little bit here.
Absolutely. I mean, just to add that those aspects to it, you wonder, is that, could there have been some kind of thing written at one point, much like a lot of stories start out where it's just a little blurb somewhere. I mean, and then all of a sudden it gets blown up into this big story. I mean, could that be the origin of the Jersey Devil? Maybe
right
somewhere
because at one point after the whole ghost thing went on for a while, Ben Franklin in his almanac did start referring to Leeds and the Leeds family as devils. So over the years, it became into the Leeds Devil. So this idea has now grown from just a joke where he called this guy a ghost when he was retorting to him back in the 1720s. Now, flash forward 25, 30 years, now you actually have people out there thinking, well, this Leeds family is cursed. They've been called devils and they've been ostracized from the community for literally decades at this point.
Right.
So now it's not so hard to believe. Again, you got to think about this. This isn't modern times. There's a lot of superstition going on back then. And things like this were far easier for people like that to believe
Oh God!
Look at what happened up in the Salem witch trials. Like it's the same type of thing.
Believe what
word of mouth meant a lot, and especially if it was coming from someone who was thought of as a community leader, and Ben Franklin was.
I saw something on Facebook, and I was like, relatable. People that have allergies are modern day going through like Salem, like what the people thought that you were ostracized as a witch or whatever.
Because I think you have the Rona.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what? You're right. Actually, it's crazy you say that because there are a lot of different things that we have. Obviously, modern medicine, and people get sick, but there are so many like illnesses and sicknesses out there that you have to think that back in those times, they would have thought that, you were like a walking, plague. God, look at people who went, going from people who went into like comas or something. Nowadays, you go into a coma, they can monitor you. Hopefully, you can come out of it or unfortunately pass away. But back in those days, if you were in a coma and your body, they just couldn't make you respond, they would bury you. And there's been signs of people being buried alive. Look at people who were autistic. They would throw you in a mental institution thinking that you were insane. It's
if you were in a coma, they put leeches on you, and they spelled out their names.
Okay. What the hell does that?
They spelled out their names.
Yeah,
are you making this up?
No, they did.
Mike must have got that knowledge from his
I never know when Mike's kidding and when he's not.
They would.
Man, I can't hear Mike at all. Mike ain't got no mic.
I hear him.
Yeah, I had that problem.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing today. Let me leave the room and come back.
You could be talking crap on me right now. I would not know.
Yeah, but no, but it is crazy because, like I said, it's one of those things where like you said, Jenna. It is a lot of those things back in the day compared to now. Look at this coronavirus. This is like the modern day Black Plague or the modern day, things that they would literally put you in a cave and freaking say, stay away or stick you on an island, But getting with all of that, going back to this Ben Franklin thing, it kind of makes me think that Ben Franklin might be the reason why the Jersey Devil story exists.
Well,
Ben Franklin.
He is basically he's right. the root of it. And the other thing about the Leeds family that did not help them at all. Mm-hmm. Everyone back then, a big thing among families was your family crest.
Right.
Your family crest meant a lot. It represented your family visually. Well, just so happens that the Leeds family crest had a wyvern on it. A wyvern is a dragon.
Yeah.
So now this family, who is now being ostracized, called ghosts and devils, now their literal family crest has a dragon on it. So you see how all this adds up.
Mm-hmm. They were doomed from the beginning, right? Not only that, but they were ostracized from, the public, and they literally, because of that, they went pretty much and just lived out in the middle of nowhere on their own. That right there is another sign of saying, well, here's these outsiders, they live away from everybody. They're not in a community surrounding other people. They're all within their own little things. So that just right there, you hear these stories, you're reading that in the almanac. So yeah, they were just doomed from the beginning. So here we are in 2020, still pretty much hearing, bad things about them surrounding, of course, the Jersey Devil.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point, is you have with all the ostracization going, ostracization? I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for.
With all the ostriches
going
I would love nothing more than to have a stampede of ostriches right now.
Hey, that's all right. We can ride them. And
they're mean.
Stay on the longest.
They're mean, but they're sexy.
Calm down.
You're going to tell me ostriches aren't sexy?
Mike's been in quarantine way too long.
No.
Oh, right.
He looks up ostrich porn.
Don't act like you don't.
That's a whole different type of bestiality there. Anyway.
So anyway, with the ostracization of the family, they were basically put way far away from anyone who could harm them or who they would interact with. And so that, again, people who living on the fringe, again, I'll go back to the Salem witch trials, the people who were accused were generally women and generally living on the fringes of society. Right. So in this situation, you have a family living on the fringes of society And the main focal point of this, aside from the devil itself, is Mother Leeds, another woman living on the fringe of society. Even though she wasn't, it was more the geopolitical aspect of it was more the patriarchy of the family. The story focused on her, not on Daniel.
Well, think about it. She's the mother, obviously. She's the one that, in that sense, look at women back in that time period. I mean, their main job at that point is the fact that they made the babies, they took care. So when it came to the children, so it's all based off of her. So it's kind of like that's where her role is in it all, is she being the mother of these children who are doomed.
Well, and it was typical of that society and society until fairly recently,
right?
To look at women in that way.
Yeah, they weren't equal to. Yeah, they were. I mean, hell, in some points in history, they were in a sense almost as equal as not quite slavery, but at least the mindset they don't have any rights whatsoever or anything.
I mean, they still don't really have that many rights. I mean.
It's that's good.
Send your hate mail to Toxic Mike.
No, I was getting ready to make a smart comment too, but then I'm sitting there thinking maybe I ought to stop. For once, I thought before I spoke.
Yeah.
Hey, little fun fact. I was going to say this, but you said about mostly women, were for this accused of being witches. Did you know that 2 dogs were actually accused and executed for being witches?
There was a man also
being witches or being familiars.
No, for being witches.
Really?
We started a new segment on Paradelphia called Fun Facts with Jenna. And it's like audio production with it. It's like Fun Facts with Jenna.
Fun fact time.
And then every time we just do it randomly, she has to have a fun fact ready to go.
Yeah. It's like fun fact time, or something.
And I break into song a lot too, so maybe we should have one about that.
My God. That's a whole other show.
Is it?
You gotta bring your show back, Jen. Your cup of TB or whatever that was.
What was it? I don't want to do it on this. I want to come into the studio. That's where I live my best.
Hot Carl with Jenna B. What was it?
Hot Carl.
I like the TB one. Or TB.
Watch us. Calm down.
Hot.
Oh wait, calm down. I was looking at you like the Brady Bunch.
I see. Yeah. That's very good. That's very.
I say, be like, shut up, Jenna. All right? Shut up. Yeah, it's like. How do you look at yourself? Anyway, sorry.
This is what happened. Put us in the 4 corners.
Oh, I know.
The 4 corners of Paradelphia video.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
That's why we allot 2 hours for the show.
Stop
looking Mike, I can see up your skirt.
Okay.
Wow.
Anyway, okay, sorry.
So that is generally the idea behind the Jersey Devil story and where it began, and then of course it just kind of took off from there, where people, used the narrative and ragged on the Leeds family for years. But and I told you we get into a little kind of weirdness here. Right. There have been many actual sightings of a creature. Mm-hmm. So you can say what you want about how this began, and that is true. That might be how this began.
Right.
Maybe we're talking about 2 totally different things here. Mm-hmm. Maybe that story that I just told is completely true, and this family got ostracized and they got called names, and that's basically where this began. And then also, aside from all that, there is this thing that lives in the area that shows up in the area, however you want to put that. And they're tying those 2 narratives together. Over the years, those 2 narratives have been tied together into one, but maybe they're really not the same.
Right. It's just like anything else. Like we've said it plenty of times before. I mean, everything that, especially that we discuss on the show. I mean, but anything folklore, it all has some sort of origin. Like it's originated from something. So again, here we are in 2020, and it's still associated between the Leeds family and the Jersey Devil. So it's like, whatever the case may be, whether it's 2 separate entities or it's one main story. I mean, there is obviously one origin for it. Now, of course, you just discussed here with Ben Franklin and writing about the Leeds family and the almanac. So there's an origin right there. But then when you look at this strange creature flying around, how is it that kind of focus? How does that lead into it to where, like you said, it's still being
right?
It's still being cited to this day. So it's kind of like, how did the two of them go? And was it maybe around the same time frame? And it is two separate things, or what?
Yeah. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break here? We'll take our second break of the evening, and when we come back,
I'm being attacked right now by
your mugwai. Yeah.
By the Jersey Devil.
I think she is.
By her mugwai.
By her mug. I was going to say real fast, talking about the Jersey Devil, though, there are such thing as fox bats that we've discussed before, and a fox bat could 100% be mistaken for something in the terms of like a Jersey Devil.
Right.
Like right there, it's very small, but you can see it in the woman's hands.
Right.
A fox bat could, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Long time ago, people would think right away that's what that is. I mean, without question.
Now, what I was going to say is when we get back from the break, we can look into some of the more famous sightings.
Right.
One in particular that was basically area wide, and it became to use a modern term, went viral, so to speak, in the year 1909 in this area. And in fact, literally in the town I'm in right now, believe it or not, there was actually a sighting. Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll get into all that. And then we'll talk, like Mike said, about some of the possibilities of what this could actually be.
I think it's Big Bird.
It could be. Okay. We'll talk about it in a few minutes.
Like listening to Toxic Radio?
Goddamn right.
Well, don't forget, this is the 21st century. Join us in the social media world. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pornhub.
Pornhub?
Nah, just kidding. Or am I? Toxic Radio. Get infected.
Master, dinner is served. Igor, it's not that I don't appreciate the effort, but I prefer my meals uncooked. And how many times have I told you about using garlic? Yes, Master. Forgive me, Master. Please. Bite into Paradelphia. Thursday nights at 8, only on Toxic Radio. Paradelphia. Because what if it's all true?
Planning your Saturday night can be a bit of a bitch. How about we make rock, not war? Load up Toxic Radio every Saturday night for the heavy metal happy hour with the one and only Fishman.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
There will be interviews, ticket giveaways, a little bit of banter with Toxic Mike, and of course great metal from the 80s all the way through today. Starts at 7 p.m., runs until Fish says it's over.
Get out.
Catch it only on Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic.
Join the online revolution now and spread the word. Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic.
Okay, we all know shit's getting pretty weird recently.
Real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes, the dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Well, maybe not all that bad, but people are stuck at home, we're disinfecting everything in sight, and there's no damn toilet paper.
None of this makes sense.
But here's one thing you can count on. Toxic Radio will be here, rocking on with great music and as many of your favorite shows as possible, like the Heavy Metal Happy Hour and Supreme's Funky Contradiction. And of course, nothing can stop the Hair Metal Weekends. So keep it right here with Toxic Radio, and we'll see you through to the other side of this mess. In the meantime, this is the whole crew at Toxic Radio saying, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep rocking. This is one time it's okay to play it safe, but never with your music. Always play your music toxic. Toxic Radio.
I got my Magnum condoms. I got my Water 100s. I'm ready to plow.
Don't play it safe. You won't break by. Play it toxic. Some radio stations say they play everything that rocks.
Coming out to the light of day, we got many men that are deep in place, so
We play everything that really rocks. Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic.
The internet tied it all together.
The internet gave us a whole world of exciting new possibilities.
A bright new era dawning, a new dimension in communications.
It is possible to establish communication instantaneously from any place at any time.
And now it's the 21st century, and we've made it all toxic.
Hold on to your hats.
Okay, we're ready to roll.
This is Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, we're back here on Paradelphia on Toxic Radio, talking Jersey Devil. And we just on last segment laid out a explanation, a non-paranormal explanation for what could be the origin of the Jersey Devil story. Basically leading back to the Leeds family being ostracized by many aspects of the community, getting into a pissing match with Ben Franklin over rival almanacs, and having Ben Franklin basically label them as ghosts and supernatural and eventually devils, and one thing leads to another, and you have a legend being born.
Ben Franklin does it again. He's the reason for the Jersey Devil.
And he's the most badass rapper you'll ever know.
So aside from that, and you knew we were going to get into some crazy stuff tonight, there have been, over the years, sightings of some kind of a creature.
Right.
It's been called Jersey Devil. It's been called various things, but there has been something being sighted out there.
Right.
So I'm going to go over a little bit of a list here of some of the more famous sightings of this creature. The first one comes from the brother of someone who is very, very famous, Joseph Bonaparte, brother of Napoleon, actually had a Jersey Devil sighting in the year 1820 in Bordentown.
Really?
He did, yes.
Wow.
He reported this back to Napoleon, and it was actually recorded as such in Napoleon's notes and also in Joseph Bonaparte's notes and of town records. So he is on record. Bonaparte, Napoleon Bonaparte's brother, had a Jersey Devil sighting.
No way. That I did not know. Cool.
Yeah. Flashing forward into the 1840s, you had a lot of livestock killings going on in the area that were, again, attributed to the Jersey Devil. There were sightings, tracks, screams in the night, things of that nature that were being reported. Again, it could be wolves, I guess, or foxes, or I'm not sure what. I don't think we have wolves in this area, but we certainly have foxes and predators that could go after farm animals.
Right.
That
could be the Jersey Devil.
Or it could be something like that. One does not know.
I know coyotes are a thing now, but I don't know if they were a thing back in those. I mean, I guess they would be, because
I would assume if they are now, they would have been back then. Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, coyotes were actually put here many years ago by the state of New Jersey to bring down the deer population, and they've just turned into being a regular thing, actually, believe it or not.
So now they had to put the Jersey Devil in here to get the coyote population down.
Yeah, exactly. So now we need a bunch of Jersey Devils. But yeah.
So flashing forward to 1925, there was a farmer in Greenwich Township that actually shot a creature that was trying to attack his chicken coop. Supposedly, he took photos. I don't have those photos. Nobody seems to have those photos.
Why don't you have those photos?
As is often the case.
Those photos are on Genevieve's Instagram.
But but he claims that the photos were taken and that nobody could identify the creature that he shot. So take that for whatever it's worth. 1937, you have another creature that was unidentified with red eyes. It was seen near Downingtown, PA, and reported to police. Boys in Gibbstown. What the hell is that?
That is a flying lemur. He has red eyes.
Is that native to New Jersey?
I don't think so.
Aren't lemurs in lemurs are in like Madagascar or something?
Mike's just googling things with wings that look weird or something.
By the way, do you think Genevieve's dog came from New Jersey? That thing came from somewhere totally different. She brought it here.
She came from Wisconsin.
It was sold in a Chinese market.
People bring. People bring.
I adopted her from Wisconsin. She flew here. Goodbye.
From Wisconsin. So she's a Packers fan?
That's why John said we should have named her the Big Cheese.
The cheese state.
That's the thing. Like, if people even back, especially back then, would have traveled with certain animals that were very much so not local to wherever you're at, like Jersey, people from that area would be just horrified by that animal that they've never seen before and would think it's like some kind of demonic or alien creature.
Yeah.
Well, the way my puppy's acting right now, she's very demonic because she's doing nothing but beating me up.
Isn't that kind of how like the breeds? Isn't that like how breeds of like dogs, like they came from countries and they were brought here and during immigration and whatnot? Isn't that how different breeds like that have come here?
Some of them, yeah. Some of them, yeah. So again, you have 1957. You have boys in Gibbstown that saw a monster that matched the devil's description. In 1960, you actually had merchants that banded together in Camden, New Jersey, and they offered $10,000 for the capture of the creature, and they offered to build a private zoo if someone caught this creature. So it got to a point. It got to a point where they were actually trying to like monetize this in some way, and promote, a reward for this creature. But the biggest rash of sightings that has ever happened happened in the year 1909, and basically they were happening all over the area. All right, so this was a rash of sightings that happened during 1 week, from January 16th to January 23rd. In 1909, there were literally hundreds of news articles in papers all around the area, and everywhere from North Jersey to PA, Delaware, down into Maryland, that were telling of sightings of this strange creature. Basically, you had police in Camden that at one point had fired on a creature that they saw during this week. You had a trolley car right here. I live in Haddon Heights. This is not the middle of the Pine Barrens by any means. We are literally 5 minutes outside of Philadelphia. But there was a trolley. There's a train station on the other side of town that I guess used to be trolley cars back in the day. And there was a trolley car that was supposedly attacked by this creature right here in my town during this week in 1909.
Wow.
Yeah. You had unidentified prints in the snow that were all over the area, in the Pine Barrens, down into Delaware, into PA, down into Maryland. It got so bad, people were so freaked out, and this was such front page news. And I have a newspapers.com subscription, so I'm going to try and go in the next day or so and find some articles and post them on Twitter and Facebook about this, because they're talking about hundreds of articles. There's got to be stuff in there that's interesting to read.
Right.
So this was so prevalent and freaked people out so much, they literally closed schools, and workers who were outside workers doing jobs outside were told to stay home.
No way.
It was everywhere for this 1 week. Everyone saw this creature everywhere, and it freaked people out to that extent, where they were literally closing schools and telling kids not to go outside at night and telling workers to stay inside. Yeah, sort of. And it got to a point where the Philadelphia Zoo got into the act, and they offered a $10,000 reward and said that they would, and 10,000 back then is 50 or 60 now.
Not 100.
Yeah. And they said they would house the creature if it was found. Now this led to some hoaxing. One in particular, a guy showed up with a kangaroo that had wings and claws glued onto the kangaroo, And he tried to pass it off as a Jersey Devil.
That's what I think we would do. If they ever did that again, that's what we should do. Get a kangaroo. Jenna can have it flown in from Wisconsin. Put wings on it. And,
Wait, did you just see that alien of a dog? Can we just put wings and claws on that thing? That bug eye?
Look at this face. How could you see that?
Look at those eyeballs.
She's trying to bite me.
It's like a bumblebee without wings.
She's man.
He's still jet lagged.
Yeah, right. Does he talk with an accent?
Do Wisconsians talk with an accent?
Sure they
what
do.
Are you talking about? I don't know. Maybe they talk like
That's
Canadian.
Canada.
It's Canada.
I can't do a Wisconsin accent right now. I know they have one.
It's Canada, Wisconsin. It's the same thing.
Yeah. So now getting into Mike talked about a couple of different possibilities earlier about what this truly could be.
Right.
And obviously one of the answers is it could be an actual flesh and blood animal like the giant fox you showed there a little while back.
Yeah, the fox bat, which is giant. Fox bats. I remember I learned about them way back in the day.
But are they in Jersey?
Are they native?
They are not in Jersey. They are where are they from?
Hell, it looks like.
I think they're from like Africa or something like that. But I'm trying to
bless the rains down in Africa. Sorry.
That was beautiful. That was. Can you do that again?
I bless the rains
that was
down in Africa.
A real thing that I wanted to hear. It's. So yeah, so a fox bat is fucking scary.
Is it wearing a wig?
Yes.
That looks like a werewolf with wings.
I can't get over their hair. It looks like it's got some kind of 1970s like hairband hair. Like it should be
tongue out. What's going on down here? I don't know.
It just got done listening to Kiss.
That's what. But on the same token,
here's a bunch of.
But I mean, obviously, now if that was native, oh gosh, excuse me. If
What's that
native,
tab? Pornhub? What is that?
I'll teach you about that later on.
Anyway, if that was native to New Jersey, then I would say that's absolutely got to be like close to being the answer right there. Because that damn near absolutely looks like it.
If it was native, or if maybe somebody brought one over here somehow for some reason.
But
maybe
like if that's the problem is though, if they're
breeding
native, I mean, look at that thing. Tell me that does not look like, if you saw that, imagine if you were outside. Let's just say, for example, Rick, let's say you're outside middle, like, I don't know, 11, 12 o'clock at night, walking the dogs or whatever, and that thing just all of a sudden flew.
If I see a 4 foot tall bat dog winged vampire creature coming at me,
right off the bat, would that not be any of you guys? Would that not be something right off the bat? You say, "Holy shit! I just saw the Jersey Devil."
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're knowledgeable in what the Jersey Devil is, like for real,
right?
Not just thinking of like movies, like where it's an actual devil, but if you're knowledgeable in that, that's exactly what you think it was.
Yeah, seeing something like that, absolutely. I mean, that thing, it doesn't even look real. I mean, that's a freaking dog that half dog, half bat. I mean,
well, the crazy thing is, Rick and his wife will be fostering one of these next week.
Yeah,
be in their house.
He just texted Taryn and said, "I have an idea."
Don't laugh. Don't put it past me. Don't put it past me.
All of a sudden, Rick, the New Jersey Devil, all of a sudden we will be seeing them, and all be because of the Pruitts.
Yeah, man. So one of the other possibilities that is again more woo factor than anything else, I guess, but it has its merits, is the idea of a tulpa.
A what?
Right, a tulpa.
Tulpa. Oh no, that's toga. Never mind.
Tulpa.
Not toga. Not toga, Mike. Not toga.
Chug. Oh, you weak.
It's okay. It's lime and prickly pear cactus beer.
It sounds awful.
How feminine of you.
Wow.
What is it?
So a tulpa is basically a creature or something that is manifested out of thin air by sheer will.
Okay,
yes.
the idea is that if you have enough people and enough energy behind an idea, that you can actually get something to literally manifest itself in the world based on the idea and the intention of people.
But people do that all the time. If you will something to be a reality, if you will something to be real, I mean, look at religion. If you will something to be a real thing, then all of a sudden it becomes, I'm sorry, Jen, I had to. I'm so sorry. But if you will something to be real, strong enough, it becomes real.
Right.
Exactly.
Well,
Right, but
Gene
this is a
talks about
flesh
that.
and blood creature, though. Like,
Right,
there's a
but
difference
see-
between willing, like, an idea. Like, you can have an idea. Like, religion is an idea more than anything. There's nothing tangible about it. I can't go high five Jesus down the street. It's a tangible.
Some people
Believe it or not,
It's an intangible idea, but this is an actual, if it's to be believed, an actual tangible creature that came out of essentially nowhere.
right. Another example. There's another example of it. Like, have you guys, Rick? I think we've talked about the rake. Have you guys heard the about this? I guess it's a crypto. It's one of the newer one, but it's called the rake. It's
I've heard of it.
It's basically, it is this. It goes back. It goes back quite some time, but it's this. Basically, imagine The Exorcist when the girl was walking backwards, the spider walk scene where she's coming backwards down. Only this thing, it's like doing a crab walk, except it has extra long legs, extra long arms, and it's said that if you witness the rake, if you see the rake, like, it will attack you and it will, it can kill you. Now, with that being said, that's one of those theories that we're hearing the legend of the rake. It was just a story that so many people believing in it, it could possibly have become a reality. And believe it or not, it's kind of the same thing you run into on a spirit type sense, on a haunting. Sometimes if you have somebody who is just dying to have let's say a ghost be in their house, they spend years and years bringing that energy up, bringing and having that thought.
Keep that in mind, because I have something to talk about in a few minutes.
Okay, well, yeah, it's just where you have that, you just you're creating that energy.
That's the same thing as, like, the power of suggestion.
Exactly.
Like, to be able to, if you get enough people and say, no, didn't you see that? Didn't you see that? If it was a black car, if you suggest them enough that it was a red car and say it was enough determination that that's what it was, enough people will start believing that that's what they saw. It's the power of suggestion. It's con artist can power suggest to make you. It's illusionists. It's all these things that can make the brain, because the brain is such a powerful machine, that you can make it believe that it saw things it did not see. Just like the same thing of, if you've got 20 people at a crime scene that saw the crime, you're going to get 10 to 15 different stories about what happened. The power of suggestion, the power of the brain not registering or seeing what it thought it saw, then becomes the reality for that person who thinks they saw it.
Right. No, I can understand, definitely.
Yeah, that's one angle. This is like what I was going to get at a minute ago. Doug mentioned the haunting. And there is a famous experiment called the Philip experiment that happened in the early 70s, back up in Toronto. There was a group of parapsychological researchers that got together in basically an old castle. And they had an idea that they wanted to see if they could literally create an entity and then communicate with it. So together, collectively, they came up with a story and a backstory and a whole life that this person who never actually existed had. They called him Philip. He had,
every detail.
He had, this whole story about his childhood and wives he had and the way he died and this whole long life biography. And they all committed this to memory, and they all talked about this, and they all, as much as they could, believed in this entity, this person, believed that this person existed. And then they had seances, and they supposedly got contact. They had contact with this entity who came out of nowhere and literally was answering questions that they knew the answers to because they created the whole backstory for him.
Jeez.
Now that's very easy to say, well, that could be very easily manipulated. Sure, it could. Obviously it could. But again, if we're
My phone died. Sorry.
If we're in the business of looking at these things like, from a perspective of I'm going to believe what you're saying to me and you're not trying to bullshit me, then that's a very interesting experiment because that is literally the definition of a tulpa. They created this entity out of whole cloth and then made him manifest in this castle and had equipment that registered his presence there.
And if you think about it, I mean, I know this is really taking it out there, but it's almost like, could that be another explanation or another thing of, our existence? Like, we talk about it before, our existence being, we're controlled by, what if we're just an avatar or something like that? Well, were we just thought up by something or some kind of entity or whatnot, and that goes to our existence. So it's just seeing that and hearing
that would explain Genevieve's dog.
Yeah, exactly. But knowing that kind of those kinds of experiments have been successful, and seeing creatures like the Jersey Devil, reading things about it from Ben Franklin, and all these sightings being created, as well as things like the rake that I talked about, it just being basically a thing, an actual physical thing, because of what people pretty much thought it up, and now it's a physical thing. I mean, if that all actually is a possibility, there could be a whole lot more that exists that's just the result of the same thing. So
I'm listening to you, but I'm watching in the bottom screen. Jen's being, I don't know, she's being attacked by something.
I'm literally being attacked.
What the hell are you doing down there?
She's giving birth.
we could play it and say, we could play it through and say the Jersey Devil is attacking her. Like the Jersey Devil got, pissed off because we're talking.
You know why she's attacking you, Jen? Because you put that damn dress on her last night. I'd attack you too.
That's a real thing. Yeah. I tried to put a dress on Rick one time. He attacked me.
How come I never got that?
I'm sorry.
You got to pay extra for that, Doug.
Yeah, he paid a little extra. He made it rain.
Christmas bonus.
Dress on him.
Can I make it rain? Can I make it rain with IOUs?
Yeah. Yes, you can. I do it at the strip club all the time.
Do you know what I saw? This is completely off topic, but it's just funny. I saw I think it was on Facebook or something earlier, Twitter. There's actually a drive-through strip club somewhere. I think it's in Wisconsin or Portland or something like that, where basically the girls are outside dancing on poles outside, and you literally pay to drive past, kind of like a safari, like the Great Adventure Safari.
Are they like the monkeys, and they'll jump on your car and shit down your windshield too?
Steal your hubcap.
I will pay for that.
You throw dollar bills out the window and
now
shit. Like
that
it's hysterical.
Is how you handle going to a strip club during the coronavirus.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
A socially distant 6 foot away top dance. I like it. We can start marketing this.
Hey,
so I'm saying, hey, remember, if you get enough people thinking about it, it will be a thing.
It can manifest.
It'll be a thing.
What do they say?
It's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Wait, what is it?
No, Jen, you got to get the girls together.
What's the movie where he's like, if you dream it, it will come, or something like that?
Yeah.
That's what I used to say when I was a kid.
That was Walt Disney.
That was Walt.
Yeah,
I don't think Walt Disney was talking about the same thing.
I think he was.
Maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe he was.
I've seen a few documentaries on him. I think he was.
Walt was a good guy.
Walt was a good guy.
Walt was a good guy. All right, so that is basically the story that we had to tell tonight about the Jersey Devil. But I thought it was interesting because it's not the same typical, monster in the trees kind of story that you get.
Oh, yeah.
It's a more realistic based story, and it is documented. Like this actually did happen to this family, and you can see documentation of Ben Franklin doing this and creating this narrative about this family. that eventually, I'm sure, became it turned itself into this greater story and this supernatural type story.
Right.
But like I said, you have the story and then you have the creature, and do they tie together like people have been doing over the centuries, or are they two totally separate things?
No, right.
That's
and
the question.
Exactly. And again, it's one of the things that a lot of people with any story, what made, like you said, what made that story come about? Like what was the cause of that story to even be in existence? Of, the one we all know, Mrs. Leeds Mother Leeds having the 13th child, which in the attic got loose up the chimney, and that hence the Jersey Devil. Like what originated that entire story to be a thing? And now, of course, hearing about this story right here, I mean, it's almost convincing, almost in like a court of law, that's a pretty good piece of evidence saying where it all, possibly came from, where it originated. So
right. All right. So we're normally a 2-hour show, but again, quarantine, and we kind of are winging things here. But
I could get naked.
As you could, and that could be another 45 minutes.
So
it's gonna be a no from me, dog.
45 minutes to take my clothes off.
I thought.
I hope so.
Oh, look, now I'm under Rick. Tickle.
Tickle is pickle.
Anyway,
we
could spend the next 45 minutes tickling each other.
I don't know if people want to watch that or hear that. But I'm really surprised. I've got to admit, Rick, I'm surprised and disappointed.
About what?
That you did not bring up a certain subject on the show today.
What am I forgetting?
Masturbation?
What? What
Does the Jersey Devil masturbate?
This is the girl that won't say the word ass.
No, but she'll say masturbation,
right?
Because the Lord's okay with it. The Lord's okay. No, but the sheer fact that this is all going on right now, the craziness that's going on in the world, yet the government decides now is the time to release footage and acknowledgement of
the UFO thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Oh my gosh.
I was so focused on the topic tonight that you're right. I completely forgot about that. But that was 3 or 4 days ago.
3 or 4 days ago,
mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are discussing whether or not that is nothing more than a distraction from what's going on, and also the fact that the government puts this out, admits what it is, and it really isn't even that big of news because of what's going on now.
But on the same token, it goes with what Rick you've discussed before, Rick. It's like all these years building up with movies,
right?
Sightings here and there that have gotten more frequent. That boom, all of a sudden it becomes news. It's kind of just like,
this is the second time that this has been put out there as news, because it originally was put out in December of 2017.
Wasn't it like the Freedom Act?
Really? It was a New York Times article where they basically said that that these UFOs, for lack of a better way to put it, were seen by Navy flyers, and they released video about this, and it was largely overlooked at the time, not by people in this community, in the paranormal community, went apeshit about it, but the world at large barely noticed it back then.
Right.
And so now flash forward 2.5 years, now they're re-releasing this information again, but they're doing it because by now the US government has looked into this, and they are now admitting that they truly have no idea what this is, and they are authenticating the fact that yes, these are legitimate videos. They weren't doctored. We don't know what these things are. We don't know who's flying these things. They're not saying it's aliens.
Right.
But they're saying enough to know, or saying enough to say that they don't know what it is, and the maneuvers that these things are doing, the G forces that it would create would literally kill a human being. Mm-hmm. So unless it's a drone, and you have the capability of shooting a drone off at God knows how many G forces, which is not a known capability by anyone in the world.
Right.
It would have to be something that we just have absolutely no idea how it's happening.
Right.
And that's basically what they're saying. But again, Mike's right. Like they released this week, and everybody's just kind of like, you know,
it really is.
Right.
Just like, oh, that's cool. That's
But it's just like anything else. I mean, I feel like, okay, so they're announcing the fact that, again, for the second time, okay, there's things that they have no idea about, but then later on down the road, again, it's all a step-by-step process. Does that mean coming up soon that it's going to say, oh, yeah, we do have Roswell really was a crashed alien. We do have a body of some other.
And that's what people are waiting for. I think that's people. This kind of stuff is interesting, and it will get a certain amount of play.
Right.
But I, honest to God, think that you have people out there who are so utterly skeptical of everything that they literally will not believe.
Yeah, Mike.
We don't even believe in the internet.
Literally will not believe anything unless it's dissected in front of them. So you can have a video like that, and you can see the video for yourself, and you can see that there's no way that there's anything that we know of, and the government admits there's no way that there's anything we know of that can do this. And you can have that made as a statement by the U.S. government, and people just go, yeah, but I don't know what the yeah, but is. Yeah, but it was photoshopped. Yeah, but because they're saying that's not what it was.
They have no idea. They don't know. Like you said, it could be just somebody that's been a group, a secret society that's just been figuring out, let's make the world think that there's freaking aliens and UFOs.
I honestly think it's a fear thing. I really do. I think it's based in fear.
Well,
people don't want to know. They want to know, but they don't want to know. And the more they're finding out, the less they want to engage with it, because the more they're finding out, the more freaked out they're getting.
Think about the not knowing, the fact that there are the fact of knowing, if it becomes a reality, the fact that there are actual living beings that are not the Russians. That I just saw the thing pop up saying it's the Russians.
Laura said it's the Russians.
But the fact that there are living beings, thinking beings, that we do not know their intelligence, but obviously their intelligence is beyond ours if they're able to travel to us.
It could be that, or it could be some tech that we have on Earth that we're just not aware of. But they're not aware of it.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, if people realize the fact that we are being visited, like you said, that fear is just going to go way beyond, because it's almost like, oh man, they could literally destroy us. Are they here for what? I mean, if you ask me, honestly, in my opinion, so many incidences have taken place. So many people have come out and again, and a story originates when you have so many people talking about a story. It originates from somewhere. Something I just believe, even if it was just one time, even if it was 2 times, I believe there is some kind of evidence that the government has, much like they don't know UFOs. They don't know what it is. They've got some kind of weird being that maybe it is a humanoid from Earth, but they've got some kind of proof that they have no idea about some body. I believe. I mean, there's so many things they don't tell us. Mike has them dreams. Mike gets abducted, and he's still
last night I had.
You had a dream last night?
Last night I had one of my alien dreams. Absolutely.
My God.
I did.
Wow.
So
you're being
chased? Tonight saying you better make them stop thinking.
Was it the same type of dream?
It was just being visited. It was actually a pretty tame version of the dreams, at least as much as I can remember. But it was just tame. It was just they visited and people were interested. And as much as I can remember, I remember walking out and they were walking around amongst us. And I don't remember much. I just remember being
they who
curious aliens, the Greys.
So you literally see Greys in your dream.
This time, normally they're blips of light.
Right, that's what you told me before. You didn't tell me you literally saw Greys.
This time it was actual Greys. Yeah.
How are you still a skeptic? Like, it's literally happening to you.
I think a ghost could pop up.
I could literally be like experiencing something 100% real. Just like, nah.
Yeah,
you could have saved Mike.
But this is my example.
This planet from doom so many times, and he's still, it was a dream. You can get a lap dance from a ghost stripper and be like, nah.
This is the thing we're just talking about on a smaller scale. Mike is literally having these dreams and going, whatever. Like
Whatever.
it's the U.S. government coming out and saying, hey, this stuff is here. People are going, whatever. Like it's
No big deal.
that on a smaller scale.
We're all
Whatever.
going to die of the coronavirus anyway. So
Whatever. I want to go to the beach. That's all I care about right now. Open up the beach.
Because on some level, and it's the same. It's my same answer for you as it is for the general public. Because on some level, you don't want to know.
Same.
Because on some level, it freaks you the fuck out.
Absolutely. There are 100% times when I'm driving in my car by myself and I have a moment where I envision, and it's like I could see it, like things coming from the sky, like actual ships, or like you see in movies, like tentacles or something.
You know what you need? You know what you need, Mike? You need to be regressed.
Oh.
Yeah, either that or hypnotist. Because I'm telling you, if
regressed
you're
or hypnotized,
seeing that and you're having these dreams, there's something. You're some catalyst from another world, dude.
That is a show we need to do.
I would 100% no, Lar, no anal probing. I would 100% be down for something like this. Now, again, that kind of scares me because I don't know
what's going to be dug up,
come of it. Yeah. That's the same reason I don't want to go see a therapist. I know damn well with all the bullshit I got going on, I should talk to a therapist. But it freaks me out of what will come of it. So just like when Jean says sometimes that she wants to, do something with me in terms of some kind of psycho whatever reading. Yeah. It does. On a level, it freaks me out. But for the show,
means, sir,
for the
that
show,
you're starting to have an open mind about things. So,
all right.
Next is getting saved. Hallelujah.
Does that mean sex?
Listen, Mike, if you ever become saved, I want you. You have to wear a Pope hat every show for now. If you end up becoming saved, you got to wear that big Pope hat.
Listen, if I'm choosing
the big hole digger.
Yeah.
I'm choosing any religion. I'm going for Scientology. I'm sorry. They've got more celebrities. They've got more publicity.
They have cookies.
They have boats. I mean,
you'll be
they have an
mysterious
entire
overdose
channel.
when you decide that you don't want to show up one Sunday or whenever they don't have it.
They have Tom Cruise. They have this cool thing. I get to hold the two things and tell them my deepest, darkest secrets.
Yep,
I'm all
in. Yeah, guy wrote about it in a book, and now all of a sudden it's churches.
Right.
People
I like that.
Well,
see, I like when I can look back at real live footage of the guy that I'm praising. So when I go, almighty Ron, what is his name again?
Ron
Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy. Oh, hell,
Ron Burgundy.
L. Ron Hubbard. And they say he wasn't real. I could be like, look, there's a video of him.
There he is, right there.
Right there. How he wasn't real?
Stay classy, San Diego.
Yeah. See?
Milk was a bad choice.
And even in the chat room, they love Mission Impossible. The ladies love it. So yeah, but if it was for the show, and if you guys
I've never seen it.
Knew somebody, you haven't seen any movie. You probably haven't even seen Back to the Future.
I've seen
Them. Anyway, if you guys knew anybody or knew how to hook it up, because I know nobody, and you guys ever wanted to do this for the show to see how it went,
yeah, we can do that.
I would want to
figure that out.
Yeah,
I cannot be held responsible for if this shit is real, which I don't think it is, but if it is, I'm always open to being proven wrong.
It's going to be a shit show.
I cannot be held responsible for the shit they open up.
Worms out of the can everywhere.
Whatever gets unleashed, and you got to try to push it back in, but it might not go back in. Let's just put
that might be the last Paradelphia show ever.
You might not.
We can't top that.
Right. It might be like when that guy opened up the friggin' vault in Ghostbusters that he wasn't supposed to open up. Piece it all out. Just letting you know.
The Ark of the Covenant and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
there you go. Yep.
You don't know what power you're unleashing or what mental issues that are trapped deep in this brain that I have shut off to the world. But have at it.
All right.
Who are you talking to, though, Mike? Because it does look like you're looking off to the side there. You're talking to someone.
I'm not talking. I'm queuing up. Up.
You're sitting there like, I don't know what they're talking. Oh, I don't know anything.
This is why I do radio. Because
Yeah.
you can't see what I'm doing. This is why I do radio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
We're being broadcasted on Saturn.
Queuing up the outro for Rick because I know when Rick is trying to head towards the end.
Yeah, Rick is trying to head to the end here. So it's been a fun night, and again, we touched
Definitely
on
learned a lot too.
we touched on an aspect of the Jersey Devil story that maybe isn't so well known, and I had a little discussion here about Mike's anal probing.
Yeah. Can't wait to
that was the discussion.
I'm going to get to bed right away so I can dream about that. Hopefully we can connect.
It will be after your session. Oh yeah.
Wait, what are you going to be
Oh yeah.
I believe my butt hurts and I don't know why. Like, what the hell are you doing? I'm walking like I just rode a horse for an hour and Genevieve in the corner giggling.
You're not looking off to the side again like, yep, look what.
Yeah. All right, guys. So it's been fun. So I'm going to wrap things up here for the evening. So for Doug, for Genevieve, for Toxic Mike, I am Rick. We are Paradelphia. We'll be back next week. And we are out of here.